What is up, fellow Roaders? I'm Joshua Thomas, and you are watching a how to play video on Star Wars Rebellion. This is going to be part one, the official part one of our mini-series on everything you need to know about Star Wars Rebellion. And today we're going to focus on action cards and attachment rings. So, hopefully in this video you're going to learn everything you need to know and you won't have any more questions regarding playing the game. So we're going to start off with the action cards because that's something that you're going to do at the beginning of every advanced game that you play after your starting game. So the first thing you're going to want to notice about action cards is that there are starting action cards and recruitment action cards. Starting action cards are only drawn at the very beginning of the game, and the ones that don't get drawn are put back in the box and won't be used during that game. So, what are action cards? Well, they are cards that you keep secret from the enemy player. These assignment cards are going to be used in one of four ways, or they're going to be activated in one of four ways. Number one is going to be an assignment. They're going to assign this leader to a certain part of the map or a card. Another way an action card could be used is at the start of combat, and, well, simply put, you activate that card at the start of combat. Then there are immediate cards, which get activated immediately when you draw them, so you either choose to resolve it or figure something else out to do. It'll usually tell you to draw a different card. And then there are special circumstance cards. They simply say special on them, and they'll get activated whenever that particular card says to activate them. In the Wookiee Guardian's case, the special case is use when your opponent attempts a Spec Ops mission. And the Spec Ops symbol is the one with the fists on it. There's always going to be two opportunities in a recruitment phase to recruit any of your special leaders. So in this case, we've got our Krennic's Finest, we've got Krennic over here, and then we have a card that has both of them on it. So if you're worried like, oh man, I really want to recruit Krennic, but I drew this other card for this other leader who's a bit more powerful and I really want that person, well, you can press your luck and hope that the other card that has Krennic on it also shows up. So the recruitments will only happen 4 times in the game, in the first 4 rounds of it. At the end phase, when you have the recruitment icon over here on your round tracker. So as you can see, you've got the recruitment icon on these 4 areas. It's important to note that in the expansion Rise of the Empire, 2 of your recruitments are going to be in starting cards. So if you don't get either one of those cards, you're not going to have the individual recruitment for these 2 characters, but rest assured that they will appear in one more card that is in your recruitment deck. Let's take a look at how a recruitment works. So first you're going to take from your action deck and pull 2 cards. You're going to flip those cards over and see who is on the action cards. Whoever's on the action cards is a leader that you can recruit. If by chance you already have both of the leaders on those action cards, you can opt not to take either one of these guys since they're already there. If you do that, you can instead continue to draw until you find a leader that you haven't recruited yet. Or you can just take one of these cards and not recruit anyone. Whichever card you don't choose goes to the bottom of your action deck. Caveats to this are also if one of your leaders has been eliminated from the game entirely, that means that even if you draw their card with their picture again, you can't recruit them. They're pretty much considered dead. Now when it's time to reveal just who you're recruiting, The Rebel player goes first, and then the Imperial player, even though you guys can draw your cards simultaneously. If you're playing a two-player game, the Admiral of each team is going to be the person who draws the action cards and chooses which leader to take. Once you've chosen the leader in the action card, your chosen action card goes face down in a pool of action cards that you can use once per game. It's also important to note that most of your attachment rings are only going to be available through these special action cards. So you've got one for the Empire in the expansion, Rise of the Empire, and then you've got 4 for the Rebels. R2 and C-3PO and K-2SO, the Millennium Falcon. The rest of the rings are going to get attached through some kind of mission. Also important to note that if you play with the expansion deck, carbon freezing is not going to be available to the Empire. So if you have the base game, this isn't anything you have to worry about. You simply won't have Jabba as an option. But if you have the expansion, you get to choose whether you use the base game mission cards or a mission deck, or whether you take out certain mission cards from the original deck, which includes the carbon freezing, and add in the expansion missions. The other mission cards are the Lure of the Dark Side, the reusable one, which allows you to capture a rebel leader, and then of course the Yoda ring, which you always want to put on Luke Skywalker if possible. It's important to note that if a rebel has one kind of ring, say they've got this captured ring, and you want to give them the carbon ring, they will lose whatever ring they had, whether it was positive or negative, and gain the new one. Oh, so difficult. There we go. So just like that. And that's the situation for any character. Any character can only ever have one ring at a time. Now I want to go over a couple of mission cards that may throw you for a loop, especially if you've got the expansion. So, the first one is going to be for the Empire, and it reads, it's more dangerous than you realize. It looks like that one. And it involves General Taji, if I'm not mistaken. If I mispronounced that, let me know. Because I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan, but sometimes I make mistakes. Alright. More dangerous than you realize reads, draw either 3 space tactic cards or 3 ground tactic cards. Now, that's not complicated, but in the situation of using advanced tactic cards, you start off with all the cards in your hand, so the only way you'd be able to use this is if you have some of those action cards in a discard pile, in which case you could draw 3 of them from your discard pile and return them to your hand. The next 3 cards have to do with the Rebels. Like I said earlier, the Wookiee Guardian, use when your opponent attempts a special ops mission. Before rolling dice, the mission automatically fails. Now remember, in order to use any one of these cards, that particular leader has to be in that sector in order for this to be utilized. So, even though the mission automatically fails, Chewbacca has to be there in order for the mission to automatically fail. It's a trap! During the first round of combat, your opponent cannot play space tactic cards. Once again, this is something that is not that hard to understand in the base game, but in the rules for the advanced tactic cards, you're always supposed to play one of these each round, unless otherwise stated. So, in this case, It's a Trap is going to prevent the other player from playing one of their space tactic cards, or one of their, does it say space? I think it says space. Yep, space tactics. So it's going to prevent the Imperial player from playing one of their space tactic cards. And the last one is Under the Radar. So Under the Radar reads, look at the top 4 cards of the probe deck. Keep one of those cards face down below this card and place the others on the top or bottom of the deck in any order. At the start of your turn in the command phase, you may return the probe card to the top of the deck. So why on earth do the rebels want to have this, and why on earth would you want to take one of these and slide it under this action card until you want to use it? Well, the one good thing about this card is if you draw the top 4 and look at them and you're like, oh man, Ryloth would be a great place to put the Rebel base in the future. I'm going to save that for later, and then when I think I might need to relocate the Rebel base, I've got a surefire way to get the Rebel base in a good planet next time. So that's one reason I think that that is a pretty powerful card to have there. The last thing you need to know about action cards is once you've used it, it's gone. You take it and you return it to the box or put it in some kind of discard pile. So that is everything you need to know about these attachment rings and about action cards in Star Wars Rebellion. Be sure and check out our next video, which is going to have to do with, I've got it right here, moving units. So moving units is going to be the topic of our next How to Play video on everything you need to know about Star Wars Rebellion. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out more on Felroad Express. Hey, is there a question that you had that this video didn't answer? Leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But keep in mind that your answer might just be in a different video if it's in a different category. Thanks for watching.